Hello and welcome to the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's the top 16 superstars, it's the Nations Cup, and it's time for the EMEA, or the European region to you and me, coming up for you very, very shortly indeed. My name is Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Chaz Draycott here to guide you through the action today for what is set to be a very tantalising Nations Cup race. Chaz, we've seen a few good races so far in the Nations Cup top 16 superstars races, so what are we expecting for this one, do you reckon?
Well, it's been really, really exciting from other regions as well, so I can't see any reason why we won't have the same. We've got fantastically quick cars, incredibly talented drivers, and a really technical circuit. What more could you want? Oh,
exactly. Absolutely nail on the head stuff there from Chaz Draycott. Let's take a look, shall we, at the point standings. After 39 rounds then, TRL Lightning, Mikhail Hazal leads the way, 30,481 points. Good advantage he's actually got over Williams Favaros there in second position. Then Jim Parata, 666 in third place. Williams Koke, otherwise known of course as Koke Lopez, down there in fourth. Very tight actually, isn't it, from second position all the way down to Williams Gio in sixth place there. Only a handful of points in terms of, well, hundreds of points separating them, but all could change here this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, considering how many points they've got in total, to go from 29,700 to just 28,700 in seventh place, even with Yosete, then even there's only 30 points ahead of Manu Rodri as well. Even the guys at the bottom of this table that we can see on screen now have only got 27,400, so this could be blown wide open by just one race, even after 39 rounds. It's fantastic.
Well, let's get into the circuit the drivers are going to be competing on then, shall we, and take a closer look at where this Nations Cup race will be held. It's the Lago Maggiore GP circuit, a fictional track on Gran Turismo Sport, but one that is held in very high esteem amongst drivers and fans as well. You can see there, 5.2 kilometres long it is. Relatively slow in that first sector, but then it really does begin to open up quite significantly as you go into the second and third sectors, especially out of turn 10, that long straight, the descent down the hill in towards turn 11, which is a really long banked right-hander as well. And the elevation change of 74 metres here, Chaz, does make things a very unique challenge on this calendar.
Yeah, it's a really undulating circuit. That final sector, when they're coming back down the hill into the last corner, as you can see, it starts out tight and opens up a little bit. Very tricky to make sure they get the turn in correct. And of course, turn 11, as you can see, the bottom left of the screen, very prominent, having that massive straight before it. Plenty of slipstream in there, but there's a huge drop before it. They're hitting about 190 miles an hour before they get to said drop, and they're hitting like 200 miles an hour just as they get to the braking zone, so it's going to be very tricky for them to keep it under control there.
Yeah, especially in that final sector as well. You go through turns 13, 14. That can really compromise your run if you get a poor exit through turn 14 all the way through to turn 17 and indeed onto the start-finish straight. A closer look at the strategy then ahead of this race reveals, of course, that the drivers are competing in the Red Bull X 2019 competition cars. Some of the fastest machines you can drive on Gran Turismo Sport, and some of the trickiest so-and-sos to drive as well. They've got racing medium and soft compound tyres available to them over the course of these 9 laps they'll be competing in. 3 times fuel consumption, so that's not too much of a worry at all. But 9 times tyre wear is going to make strategy very, very interesting here, Chaz. In particular because, of course, you can see on your screen at the moment, racing soft tyres have only got a lap time, a longevity, a shelf life, I should say, rather, of 4 laps. So they're going to have to make a stop at some point if they start on those.
Yeah, definitely. It's not even halfway through the race that they'll last as well. So what we're expecting to see is obviously everyone starting the soft, get the complete pace out of the car that they can, and then once they've stopped, then they're just going to have to, manage them just a little bit towards the end. They can't be pushing too much. A lot of these guys, because of that, we've seen in the other regions as well, they're making moves early on. They're really going for it at the start of the race, so it should be exciting to see.
And such is the lap time difference, we won't see anybody, I don't think, going for the racing medium compound of tyres. There's nothing in the rules for this race that says they have to use both compounds of tyre, so they can do racing soft and then in their first stint and then change over and put a new set of softs on for their second stint in this race. Pit stop time around about 5 seconds or so, 3 seconds in the pit lane and 2 seconds for the tyre change. So keep an eye out and see whether anything will change and see what is about to happen. So let's get ready then, shall we, and head over to the grid for the start of the European race. On the grid then, TRL Susu on pole position, Williams Favaros alongside him, who will get the best drag down towards that first corner. It's going to be very exciting to find out. Lights out and blast off. Matu, 79 there, the Finnish driver, has qualified in third position. Down towards the first corner we go. Good start from Susu. Good start also there from Favaros. He's got the outside line. Matu on the inside line there as well. And Jim Parata getting a little bit hung out to dry, as also Williams Gio dropping back through the field. Side by side we go for the race lead though, as Matu tries to get the long way around the outside and does manage to make it stick against Susu there. So brilliant driving from Matu. The Finnish driver who started from the head of the second row of the grid is now into the race lead at the end of the first sector.
Yeah, he's absolutely nailed that. They're really, really close stuff with Susu. He's just gone a bit deep into turn one, and Matthew's just gone, all right, well, if you're going to leave the door open, I'm going to go flying through it. Takes the opportunity, tiny bit of a touch from the quarter panel there, but he did absolutely fine to keep the car under control. Now, Favreros, like you say, really putting Susu under pressure in the Williams branded machine. Lovely livery on that car. Everyone loves a gradient, but he's really chasing him down, and the Frenchman is going to have to get on the defensive down towards turn 11.
Yeah, certainly is out of turn 10 down towards turn 11. There was drama in the background in the first sector as well. Here comes Favreros, though, trying to send it down the inside of Susu in towards turn 11. Is he going to make a move stick? He's side by side with him. He's got the inside line. Susu shuffled to the outside line there. He's pushing him out there. Is Williams Favreros. Brilliant, aggressive driving in the early stages from the Hungarian. He finds his way through into second place there, and Susu has lost 2 positions here off the starts.
Yeah, it's not gone his way at the moment, but of course he put it on pole, so we know that he's got the pace to do it, but he's just got to keep his mind in the game. Bit of a moment there as well as he goes over the curb. He's got Peralta right behind him as well, and then Williams Gio behind him, so he can't let off or anything. He needs to really push, and that mistake is going to cost him down the straight. So I don't know what he's thinking at the moment, but he's got to try and really focus and get this back.
It's really difficult when you're in that circumstance, isn't it, to try and keep that pace, because it's so easy to try and overdrive the car in those circumstances, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You can be pushing as hard as you can to make back what you've just lost, but at the same time, that can it maximises the risk. But speaking of risk, Yasete sends it up the inside of Williams Gio. I think, never mind Williams Gio's car being white, I think that would have scared him to death. He would have been pale white as well watching that. He gets through. You can see by his body language down the straight, he wasn't completely happy about it, moving over and giving him a bit of a kiss on the way down. Almost side by side there as they go through turns 6, 7 and 8. Onto the brakes, bit of a wobble from Yasete, but that was a very feisty manoeuvre.
Brilliant stuff then from PR1 Yasete, trying to invent something, and it is exactly what he was able to do, finding his way through ahead of the Italian of Williams Gio then. So out of turn 10 on that straight then down towards turn 11, the slipstream coming into maximum effect here. Is Williams Gio going to have a bit of a sneaky lunge down the inside of Yasete? Yes, he is. He says thank you very much and tries to repay the compliment that Yasete paid him earlier on in the lap. They run side by side up through turn 12, then they're going to flick it right for turn 13. There's contact as they run door handle to door handle, wheel cover to wheel cover here, and Williams Gio has to back out of it, but it's allowed Key 25 and Williams Koke to join the party here as they come into this final sector.
This is really, really feisty stuff from these boys, getting their elbows out, really chucking it to each other. Williams Gio saw the opportunity into turn 11 and he thought, you know what, if you can do that to me, I can do it to you, son. Watch this. Didn't pay off for him though, but like you say, Key 25 and Williams Koke are on board now with. They are going to really be rubbing their hands together and going, there's going to be an accident here, guys. We're going to make the most of this, but you've got to be in it to win it, and Williams Gio certainly is at the moment. But Yasete, it's paid off for him. He's starting to run away at the moment, thinking whether Williams Gio's sort of overheated his tyres or something with trying to make that move back. But just behind them as well, Koke really putting the pressure on Key. I think he's gone into the back of him there.
Yeah, really close contact between those two. Here we are on board then with Key 25. Williams Koke has got a mirror full of the Spaniard at the moment. RC Snake is also ready in the background to pounce if anything goes wrong between these two drivers. Look at the drive that Koke had going into there as well. He was late on the brakes, managed to clip the apex very nicely indeed, and this is going to set him up absolutely beautifully coming through turn 9, and then they're going to flick it right through turn 10 and head on that straight down to turn 11. Now, are they going to be able to make any moves? Is he going to be able to find his way past there, Williams Koke? Well, he's not close enough to Key 25 at the moment as things stand, and down the straight we go in towards turn 11. He's just not able to be close enough to launch a move. Meanwhile, RC Snake, the Frenchman, has dropped down to 10th place at the expense of SRC SVDR. The Polish driver now finding his way through into 9th position.
Yeah, just there about Key's run there out of the first few corners before the long straight down to turn 11. He just managed to make the most of the dirty air, I think. It upset Williams Koke a lot, no matter how close he was. It's such a fast section of circuit, you've really got to get it focused through there. Didn't quite do it. See Williams Adam having a bit of a wobble there. He's down in 12th place at the moment as well, Tom.
Yeah.
Not quite what we're expecting to see.
Not at all. And look at the feisty battle going on in front of him as well. As you can see, Williams Koke does dive into the pit lane. Then at the end of lap 3, RC Snake also following him in as well. Those two trying to get out of traffic, get a bit of clear track. And we're going to see a replay here of some drama. Now, away from the lights, here's Williams Adam. He started in 5th place. We saw him down to 12th. Look at him lighting up the rear wheels though. Oh, he went into the barrier, so too much wheel spin off the start there for Williams. Adam straight to the scene of the accident, and that really put him on the back foot going through those first series of corners, put him right in amongst the pack, which is not where you want to be at all.
No, definitely not. And just again, coming back to the dirty air situation, that's all you're going to get when you're in the pack like that and fighting away with them. So he's got Williams Koke behind him now. He's got VLX Felix just in front of him on track. But like you say, this is not where he wants to be, right in the thick of it, having to fight with these boys. He was 5th on the grid, so he had all opportunity to get up to the top and, of course, maybe get a podium, but yeah, he's got to sort of make the most of it now. A bit of damage limitation, I think, is the best way to put it. Yeah,
certainly so there for Williams Adam, otherwise known, of course, as Adam Sassuolo. Has competed in a lot of World Tour events as of late, and we're hoping that he will be doing enough, I think, to qualify for the World Final in Monaco as well. He's got his teammate of Williams Koke very close behind. Koke, of course, has made that pit stop, so I don't think Adam is going to hold him up too much here as they come down in towards turn number 11. And no, he sensibly opts to let him through without too much of a fight there for Williams Koke. Those two now very much in different races here, so it's very important that Koke is able to make as much ground as possible and doesn't lose time to his teammates. But this could work actually quite well for Adam here. If he's able to try and follow Koke in these stages, he might be able to close that gap down to the drivers in front of him, and when he comes into the pit lane, it might help him out as the race leader Matthew comes into the pit lane, and likewise Williams Favaros also boxing. But TRL Susu, the man who started on pole position, let's not forget, opts to go for another lap.
Yeah, he's played a different strategy to these boys. He's not going to pander to what they're doing. He's going to try and get his foot down in a bit of clean air, I think, and show that pace and why he put it on pole for this race. He's going to go for it now, and this is a very pivotal lap in this race for him. There's Matu behind, 2nd place though, so that just shows you just how much time you lose, really. It's minimal, if you can see just how close Matu is. So, you know, he's going to see him in his mirrors, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. He's just going to have to cane it, really cane it now. That's all he can do. Yeah, the thing is with Susu, of course, he's on very old clapped-out tyres on that car now as well. Lap 5 of 9, they are past their best shelf life. They will be deteriorating at a severe rate of knots in terms of their condition, and likewise Susu's pace, of course, will follow suit with that. Matu, despite that pit stop he made, he was a 140.131 last time around, but on average he's been about a second a lap quicker, has the Finnish driver, over the course of this race compared to this man here of TRL Susu. So a good qualifying result there for Susu, but not able to go his way at all under race conditions. Otherwise known, of course, as Baptiste Beauvoir is TRL Susu, and again, he's a driver who's been very prominent in the World Tour events as of late. Yeah, he's just not converted it, has he, unfortunately. It was that first lap, it would have got into his head and he would have overheated his tyres trying to make it back, and it's just how quickly these things can turn around, and you know, they can go downhill, but that's what we know and love about motorsport, isn't it? These things can go your way one day, next day it can just be a completely different story. We're on board now with Perata chasing down Williams Gio, who had a fantastic battle with Yosete earlier. Susu pits, he's in the pit lane there. Williams Gio opposite pit as well, and Perata, who had already pitted, is now continuing on out on track. So down towards that first corner we go. Out of the pit lane there just in front, that is TRL Susu, so 5.1 seconds he was in the pit lane there. Very good stop for the French driver, and now Perata, the Italian, is going to be closing up onto the back of him. But of course Susu has got newer tyres, although they're not up to temperature at this stage, so Perata is going to have to drive absolutely out of his skin to try and close up that gap with just under 3 laps remaining here at the Italian circuit. Italian driver, of course, is Perata, so he'll want to get onto the podium if it is possible, but at the moment he's going to have to really try and invent something to close up onto the back of the Frenchman. Yeah, and if it does just come down to tyre life with how sort of close these guys are in outright pace, then I think that Susu may be safe at this point, but you never know how quickly one mistake can change all that. We've seen a lot of these guys really pushing the track limits and dipping a wheel onto the grass, onto a curb, into braking zones. Do that a bit too aggressively and you can spin the car around, as Favaros now trying to catch Matu. Not even a second behind him at the moment though, so battle on here, I say. Yeah, Favaros is looking very racy indeed. You can see him using a wide line in this circuit. Matu seems to be struggling on this set of soft tyres for whatever reason. Doesn't seem to quite have the pace to answer. He's had a personal best second sector though, but in the third sector he's clearly made some kind of an error, because Williams Favaros was about 3 or 4 tenths of a second faster into the final sector though, and now Matu is going to try and extend that gap out. The advantage for him is that Favaros is in that dirty air, so it will hinder him in that midsection of the lap, and he's not close enough to try and do anything to attack
in these early stages as things stand. But I've got to say, the field actually relatively close in terms of one another. You can see the graphic on the right-hand side of your screen, the track map there, and from first down to about 11th position, all the drivers separated by about a second to one another. So very, very close. Probably the closest we've seen of all the regions so far.
Yeah, it really is. It's not so spread out like you say. And pretty much just until RC Snake changed it on the graphic then, and maybe Pirata, no one was anywhere more than 2 seconds apart. So great to see that the guys are still nice and close and having these battles. But what that says to you is that that's where the dirty air comes in, is around that 2 second mark. So people can't really push past the 1 second barrier. I mean, in the slower sections of the track, then you might be okay with it. But like I say, places like this, when you're coming through 6, 7 and 8, not a chance.
No, absolutely not. On board still with Williams Favros, then through in towards turn number 11 we go. It goes downhill, then it goes uphill for the braking zone. It's very, very banked through there, and often we'll see drivers taking a difference in lines through that corner, and well, there's not really one that's faster than the other. So we'll keep an eye out and see whether we do see that. Here is Williams Gio just behind his fellow Williams teammate of Koke then. Koke Lopez doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment to be battling with the front runners. You can see him down there in 6th position. In terms of the lap times between Williams Gio and between Williams Koke, last time around it was actually Gio who was the slower of the two drivers, so whether Koke has made a bit of a mistake, but that gap is coming down now. It's at about 0.8 of a second or so, but through into this final corner, you can imagine that Koke is just going to be able to pull out that advantage onto this straight.
Yeah, he's doing all right, to be fair. He's just making sure that he's maintaining that gap, isn't he? He's not letting him get too far ahead. Oh, it looks like Williams Gio was going to go deep into there, then actually gets it stopped very well. It seems like Koke was the one that made the mistake, but on paper it looked a little bit better, better of an introduction to that corner by Koke on the brakes, but seems to have hindered him through this slower section now to turn 4, the right-hander. This is where they need to get the foot down as early as they can. We saw a mistake by a couple of drivers in previous races there, just lighting it up on the curb. It's easy to do when you're trying to get a good run down a straight. You want to just stamp on the throttle and go for it. In these cars, it's not as simple as that, though. No, certainly is not. Very impressive stuff, though, from both of these two drivers to be battling so close. Of course, just in front of them is PR1 Yasete as well, of course, who is inside the top 5 in the European region standings. Big moment there for Williams Gio going through that right-hander. Looked like it was perhaps just a bit too much curb on the inside there, unsettled the car. Yeah, definitely. These things are so low to the ground and so much about sort of ground effect and aerodynamics. If you want to settle it that much, the thing is just not going to behave how you want it to, and we saw that from Gio there as well. But he's got it back under control now. We look back at Williams Adam now in 11th place, still chasing VLX Phoenix. Bit of a wobble by both of them there as they go up the hill into the final sector. But only 1 lap to go now, and it's looking like Matu may have this in the bag. The gap's got slightly bigger to Favros. Yeah, Williams Adam must be kicking himself following that mistake off the starting line, because it has defined his race quite significantly. They're down in 11th position and not able to find a way past the German. Onto the final lap then for Matu, the race leader. But this battle going on as Williams Adam again just makes another error. So he's really, this is what we were talking about actually earlier on, Chaz, overdriving the car. He's pushing too hard. Look, you can see that. He's running wide at corners. He's kicking up dust. He's getting the car sideways where he doesn't need to, losing momentum, losing drive, and it's not allowing him to find a way through. No, and look, again, too deep into turn 1 there. That's going to affect his line into turn 2. VLX Felix is going to get the better run out of the corner, or you'd think so. But it's just overdriving. He's trying too hard to bridge that gap again, and it's just not working for him. It's as simple as that. It's a very black and white situation, if I'm honest with you. He is trying everything though, but this guy, he's really not overdriving the car. He's doing everything he needs to do. Matu at the moment, since he took the lead at turn 2, he's not looked back. Yeah, he's been lapping significantly a little bit faster than Williams Favros and TRL Susi, about 3 or 4 tenths of a second compared to those guys. He was quicker on that last lap. In towards turn 11 we go for the final time, and if Matu just keeps it on the straight and narrow, this will be a very well-deserved victory for the Finns. Started, of course, from 3rd position, the head of the 2nd row of the grid. Was able to get the lead going down in towards those first series of corners at the expense of this man here of TRL Susu, and has never looked back since. William Favros, of course, also getting ahead of the Frenchman. This is a shame actually for Susu, because he's got good pace in the latter stages of this one. If it wasn't for those errors in the first couple, as the commentator's curse comes to bite him in the backside, makes a big error there going over the curb, has to take to the grass on the inside. That has allowed Jim Pirata to close up, but through the final corner and over the line, Matu takes victory here in the European region race. Susu does just hold on to 3rd position ahead of Jim Pirata despite that error on the last lap. Yasete in 5th, Williams Koke in 6th position. Key finishes in 7th place. The hometown driver of Williams Gio is down there in 8th position.
10th over the line for Felix, and Williams Adam was not able to mount a charge on that last lap. SRC, SVDR will finish in 12th position, and then Jim Arazian, who we hardly mentioned actually over the course of that race, the Portuguese driver, finishes in the 13th position.
Bit of a stylish finish there. Interesting to see Jim Peralta getting the fastest lap of the race, just missing out on that podium, that opportunity when Susu made that mistake. It would have been so clear in front of him. He was hoping for a home podium, just didn't quite get to him, but still a good consolation for him to get the fastest lap of the race. That's always a nice confidence boost as a driver, isn't it?
Completely, absolutely, yeah. And missed out by that podium by fewer than 0.3 of a second, so he can hold his head high with that one. RC Snake in 9th, VLM Phoenix in 10th position. Then, of course, Adam in 11th, as we said, SRC, SVDR. Then Jim Nassini and TRL Adam in 14th and 15th. We didn't see them taking the checkered flag. They were quite a way down the order for one reason or another. But a great race there from Matu, finishing 1.3 seconds ahead of Williams Favros here in the Nations Cup race for the EMEA region. Let's take a look, shall we, and see exactly what that reflects on the point standings after the 40th round of the series. And, well, not much change at the top of the order. Still TRL Lightning and Williams Favros who lead the way, but TRL Susu gets ahead of Jim Peralta and Williams Koke. So the Frenchman there promoted up into 3rd position, despite what probably he would regard as a challenging race.
Yeah, it didn't quite go the way he wanted, but that just shows how important it was that he finished ahead of Jim Peralta there at the very end, and how much he defended that position after making the mistake, you know. It just means that it changes in the championship at the very last second. HRG RK23 went up the order into 10th. Williams Adam, of course, the one dropping down in that scenario. And Matu, because of his win, goes ahead of RC Mura. So, bit of changing around, which is always nice to see for these drivers, and they've got it done at the last hurdle, and that's the most important time to do it, I'd say.
Yeah, very exciting stuff from all of these drivers. So our focus does now shift, of course, over to the next Gran Turismo event. World Tour 4 takes place at the Red Bull Hangar 7 in Salzburg, Austria on September the 13th and the 14th. Thank you for joining us for this, and we hope that you can join us for the next World Tour event, because it will be absolutely spectacular.